Today we're going to build our Delta darts, or start the build for our Delta darts. For your kit today, you should have a piece of cardboard that we're going to use to attach everything to while our glue dries. You should have some wood. This wood has all been pre-cut. If you notice, the ends on it have angles, and that's going to be important in a minute. You should have some glue, a Q-tip, and you should have a piece of paper that looks like this. This is your Delta dart pattern. Now on this side it's really bright, and a lot of the words, if you look, are backwards, and that's because of a very important feature. We're going to flip this paper over, and this is the side we're going to work on. Make sure you flipped your paper over. Okay? And if you notice, once you flip it over, you can actually now read the instructions for your design and for your build. So like tail goes here, that's written down here on the lower side. Rudder, wing goes here, tail. And you'll also notice some other things, like here it says A and B, A and B. In between A and B, you should find that you have a small cut in your paper. Let me see if I can lift that up here. Your paper should have been pre-cut. There should be a slight slit right there. See that? If your paper is not cut there, you're going to raise your hand. We also have some other cuts I want you to make sure you have, and that are going to be these little corner pieces. There should be, I believe, 5 of them. So this corner here, this corner here. You just want to make sure that those are loose, because that's going to be important in a little bit. This corner here and this corner over here. If those are not cut, or you cannot lift them up, like this one doesn't want to, you need to make sure you raise your hand so we can come around and get those cut for you. You guys are not cutting today because we have a limited amount of cutting tools, and so we are going to be coming around and helping you with those cuts. All right, we're going to be gluing on these wood pieces in a few minutes. Right now, no glue. No glue. This is called dry fitting. So no glue. No glue until we tell you. Because if you misglue this, you're done. Okay? So the first thing I want you to do is take your pieces and you're going to dry fit. So it's going to be like putting a puzzle together. So you've got to figure out where these different pieces fit within your design. So this is a nice long one. I know it's going to go over here. The other thing you're doing is you're checking to make sure there's an angle right here and here on my plane, on this tail, and I need to make sure that my wood angle matches those angles. So you're going to go through and you're basically going to lay these all in place where they best fit. Let's see. So let's do that now. We'll stop the video if we need to, give everyone plenty of time to make sure that they get their dry fits in place. We'll be coming around to check to make sure that you're matching your pieces correctly to your pattern. Just like that. Oh, and this is going to be your motor stick, or the body, main body, and that's going to go right down here. So now I have my dry fit done. I'm going to be gluing And I want to make sure this isn't moving around on me, so I'm going to take a little bit of Scotch tape, and I'm going to go on all 4 corners of my paper. I don't need a lot, just a little piece. I'm going to just tape my paper right to my cardboard. It's going to make sure that I've got a secure surface on which to work. And just like that. So I've got my paper all in place. Now the first piece we're going to glue is very important. Well, all of these pieces are really important. So when you're gluing, you want to make sure that you're using enough glue, but not too much. Because once we get this all glued down and it dries, we have to be able to come back and cut out right very closely to these wood pieces. If you've got too much glue, it's going to make it very difficult to cut through. So you want to make sure that you're placing your glue very carefully. You're not globbing it on. You're putting in just the right amount. Okay, today we're using tacky glue, and the reason we're using that is it sticks really well with using a very small amount. So the first thing we're going to glue down is this piece right here. Now the reason we're going to do it first is because there's something very important about this specific piece. If I slide it out of the way here, you can see there's a checkered pattern down in here. It's got the crisscross markings in it, and it's not on this part. We need to make sure that we are only gluing from the AB cut mark to the back. Only here. We don't want glue here. Very important. No glue here. Only glue here. All right? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my Q-tip, just a little bit, and if you see, I'm talking a little bit. I'm not globbing my whole Q-tip down in there. If you start doing that, your Q-tip's just going to fall apart, and you're going to be in a mess. Just a little bit, and I'm going to paint some glue very carefully. And I'm going to spread out what I've got on there across that. I need just a tad more, so I'll go back. I'm not using a lot, so I'm not dripping glue everywhere, and I'm just painting a little bit of glue so that I know there's glue there, I can see it, into that spot, trying to stay in the lines. You can see I'm kind of spreading it out smooth, just like that. Once I've got it all the way, then I'm going to take this piece, lining it up with the pattern on the paper. I'm going to put it in place and make sure that it's secure. I'm just going to press down on it a little bit so I know it's touching the glue, just like that. So that piece is in place. Now you're going to go through and you're going to do that with each of these pieces. You want to make sure you're putting the glue only where you see these lines. I'm going to draw on mine so you can see there's a line that goes here and a line that goes here. You only want the glue where the wood is going to be. So this one will have to stop. The glue will have to stop right here. Okay? I don't want the glue out on that tab yet. So make sure you're not putting glue on any of these 5 tabs. We need that left free for now. So now I'm just going to go around very carefully. I'm going to get just a little bit of glue. So I'm going to wipe it off on the side. And I'm going to put some glue right along that. Again, I'm making sure I'm not dripping out across my design. And I'm just going to smear some glue. You don't even have to press very hard on the paper because you want the glue to come off of, it's almost like you're painting very fine line right in that area. And then I'm just going to put that piece of wood right in there. Now, if you get glue on your fingers, you might want to wipe it off, because if you get glue on your fingers, then everything's going to be sticking to you and not sticking to your paper. So you're going to go through and you're going to do that for this entire design. So go ahead now and make sure carefully you glue each of these pieces in place. Okay, teacher, I would stop the video here and allow everybody to get caught up. All right, everybody should be at this point. Everything is on its proper location and glued in its proper space. Now, this next step, you need to pay very close attention. If you don't do this right, your plane probably won't fly. So we need to reinforce our corners, but there are some spots that we do not want to reinforce. And if you see some of these little boards, as they get wet with the glue, some of them will try to stand back up. Just push them back down. As they dry, it'll pull them back in. All right, so we're going to reinforce, and we're going to work with these little flaps that we have that are cut out. Now, there are some points that we need to put glue. There are some points we don't want glue. Okay, so where we do not want to put glue, do not put glue here or here. Do not put glue here or here. That is going to need to bend when we get to the construction phase. Our wings are going to be on an angle, and if we put glue or here, that can't happen. Where we are going to take and add some additional glue just to reinforce our joints are in the following spots. We're going to put it here, and we're just going to go right inside here. We're just going to put a little glue right there on that joint. If you can see, I'm putting a little bit so that it's on the sticks and it touches the paper. Okay, and I'm going to do the same thing over here. A little on the sticks and touch the paper. What it's going to do is going to just reinforce that joint so that that rudder doesn't flap back and forth when it's flying. I'm going to do it there. And then I'm going to come up to this corner at the top of my rudder where my little triangle is cut out. And I'm going to put some right down in that joint. You can see I'm putting it on the sticks and letting it kind of go down into where they come together and onto the paper. Then I'm going to take my Q-tip and see how I've got that little stick out part. I'm going to kind of round that off because I'm going to use this Q-tip to my advantage. And I'm going to use my Q-tip and I'm going to pick up that little corner if I can. Well, maybe we'll have to use a toothpick here. We're going to use a toothpick. We're going to pop that up. That little corner needs to come up and fold right on over. And this is where you may get glue on your fingers because you really need to press that down in there, just like that. Lift this up so you can see it better. You can see how I pulled that up and I folded it right over that joint so that it's glued down. What that's going to do is reinforce that corner. All right, now we're going to come up to this piece, our wing, and we are going to put glue. Not here or here, but we do need it on these ribs. So I'm going to go in, I'm going to put a little glue right here. I'm going to put a little glue right here. And again, this is just to reinforce everything so when we get ready to fly, things aren't flapping in the wind. Okay. Put some on this one over here, just like this. I don't need a big pile, I just need to have some in there. I'm not putting it here. Again, that's going to have to bend later, and if we glue it, that won't be able to happen. I do have these two corners, and that are flaps that need to come up to reinforce these ends. So I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to put some glue at this corner, or joint, I should be saying, I guess. Put some there, and I'm going to put some glue over on this one. And then you can use a toothpick or a pen, whatever is provided. And we're going to pick that little cutout flap out, and I'm going to put it over, and I'm going to mash it down in there with my fingers. I'm going to come down here, and I'm going to do the same thing. Mash that right down in there with my fingers. And you'll have to go back and check. They will try and pop up when you first do them. Just make sure you're getting them down in there. All right, now we're going to do this piece. We're going to do all three corners of our tail. I'm going to go up here first and reinforce this joint with some glue. I'm going to come down here, reinforce that joint, reinforce this joint. I'm going to come back with my pick. I'm going to pick that flap up. I'm going to fold it over. I'm going to pick this flap up. I'm going to fold it over. And I'm going to go back with my finger and just make sure those are mashed in there real good. All right. For today, that is as far as we are going to go. We need to let this dry really well before we go on to the construction phase of actually putting this all together. So that is as far as we're going today. Make sure you've got your name on your cardboard. We're going to leave your paper glued right here because that's going to be important for tomorrow's different steps that we need to go through. So make sure that you're adding your names. I would put everyone who's on your team's name across the bottom of the cardboard. Doesn't need to be big, just needs to be visual. Also, if you could add the hour you're in, that would be very helpful. Thank you.